Welcome to the WanderLearn show. I'm your host, Tapon. This is part 3 of my interview with Derek Sivers, the author of this book, Useful, Not True. Fascinating book. You've got to check it out. Make sure you check out episodes 1 and 2 before you watch this particular episode. But the bottom line is, in this episode, we talk about how in 2008, he became free as a bird. He sold his company, could do anything he wanted, and he decided to set himself on a mission. Derek decided, well, you know what? I want to be able to take a really foreign, strange place and live there long enough until it feels like home. So we talk about that whole process. We talk a little bit about my book too. And we talk about why he's going to go to China and India and make that his new home, possibly for the rest of his life, going between these two places. Anyway, fascinating interview. Make sure you check out the other ones. Make sure you subscribe to the WanderLearn show and enjoy this interview with Derek Sivers.
So, hey, your listeners might appreciate this in a way that most wouldn't. I mean, most other general public wouldn't, but the people that tune into your podcast, all of this started for me in 2008 when I sold my company, and for the first time in my life, I was just kind of free, unbound to anyone or anything. I didn't have to be anywhere. I didn't have to do anything. I could just go. And my goal was to keep following my mystery points, keep going to the parts of the world I knew nothing about and staying long enough until it felt like home. Because I had felt that feeling just once with New York City. I grew up, I was actually born in Berkeley, California, but then I grew up in a pleasant little suburb of Chicago called Hinsdale, Illinois. And so when I went to New York City in 1990, it was scary. It was overwhelming. It was terrifying. But I had to go there for work. So I went, and within 2 years, it was my comfort zone. It's one of my happy places on earth now. I know every neighborhood. Here's where my friends are. New York City is one of the most homey places on earth to me. And I thought, how cool would it be to go through the world and keep doing that in places that right now to me still feel terrifying, like Beijing or Rio de Janeiro or, I don't know, Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Each of these places to me feels unthinkably foreign. How cool would it be to go to these places and stay long enough until it feels just as home as New York City does? That's my goal.
Right. And do you think you could do that almost anywhere, or you've got limitations?
I hope I could do it anywhere.
Okay.
I'm so eager to someday read your book about Africa.
I know.
Hurry up, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will definitely do it. It's a challenge, though. I'll be honest with you. I mean, one of the challenges is that I tend to write in a very blunt style, and I find myself self-censoring myself sometimes because critiquing, making fun of, and just pointing out the idiosyncrasies and funny things about the Eastern Europeans, no big deal. You know, they can take it, whatever. But once you do that with Africans, then all of a sudden you've got a whole part of societies that say, oh, you know, you're making fun of poor people, you're making fun of black people, you're racist, and all that kind of stuff, or and if you take a contrarian perspective, which I often do, and all of a sudden dare to think of something like, maybe colonialism wasn't 100,000% all bad, maybe there was something good about it, you know, which is a very controversial idea, then all of a sudden you get, you know, lambasted for that. And so that's one of the struggles I'm having to writing the book, staying true to myself, the message I want to say, the contrarian things I sometimes think, and at the same time, not getting the book just destroyed and vilified the moment. But maybe controversy is good. What do you think?
I do think that extreme opinions are useful to others, and people don't care as much as you think they do.
Yes.
Yes. I've said some things that I thought people were going to react really negatively to, and I might get 1 or 2 blog comments that go, hey, I disagree. But most people just go, huh, that's interesting. And by sharing an extreme opinion, you've just helped broaden their horizons a bit. like an explorer going to the South Pole. Nobody had gone there before. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Somebody's gone there. So Francis's opinion on Tanzania? Interesting, huh? Nobody's ever said that before. Nobody's ever looked at it like that. How interesting that somebody's taken that stance. I think it ends up just being more useful to people than offending.
And not necessarily true, though.
Right. Well, look, you can give all of the disclaimers you want. Hey, this is just my perspective. What do I know? I'm just a guy from California. Hey. Right. But I think it's more useful to people to just say it directly. It's assumed that anything coming out of your mouth is just a point of view. We don't need to fill all of our public statements with precursors and apologies. Just say the damn thing. And smart people will put it into perspective. You are not their guru. You're just one voice in the chorus. Might as well be an interesting voice.
Thank you. All right. Well, you've motivated me. I will get on it. By the way, Derek, so what are some of your next steps? You've reinvented yourself a few times. How are you going to spend we're going to say the last 10th of your life, because, maybe you think it's the last third, you say last quarter. I'm going to argue it's the last, you've got a couple of weeks left. That's all you're going to die next Thursday, actually.
I don't know, honestly. I really gave that last book everything I had. I worked hard to say something really difficult to communicate in just 90 pages of fables. Yes. And that was a lot of work. Yes. And I'm not sure what else I have to say right now. So I have no books planned. I'm spending hours and hours a day learning Chinese because I've been there 3 times in the past year, and I just love it. It's just my happy place. Just when I'm there, I don't want to leave. I just find it so pleasant.
What would you tell somebody, what is surprising about China that is not obvious from somebody who's just observing it from afar? By the way, I've been to 127 countries, but I've never been to China or India. So to me, it's a mystery. Yeah, it's like half the human population lives practically.
Right. Actually, before I get to the answer, I'll tell you that I am currently laying the groundwork for those 2 countries to be the majority of the rest of my life. So I am already a citizen of India through my kid's mom.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Since she was born there. I'm a citizen of India, and I'm right now in the process of becoming a legal resident of China, so that I have the right to just go spend as much time there, or India, or both, back and forth between the 2, as I want, because both of those places are so opposite. They're so yin-yang. China is so top-down, orderly. India is so bottom-up. Chaotic. I mean, chaos is the easy word to reach for, but it's more like complex.
Dynamic.
Yeah. There's probably a better word that means lots and lots and lots of moving pieces. Maybe complex is the right word. Anyway, China surprised me because I assumed it was third world. I assumed it was rough. And living in Singapore in 2010, mainland Chinese people had a reputation in 2010 for being rough, rude, loud, uncouth, spitting, shoving, shouting. They had a bad reputation. What's fascinating is that was correct at the time. But China changes so fast that when people are getting to know each other in China, they'll often ask, what year were you born? Because it tells you something about the person. People born just 5-8 years apart grew up in different cultures. And so you need to know what year you were born. 1982 or 1988 are very different upbringings in China because things change so fast. So when I went there last year for basically my first time, I was surprised how polite and quiet everybody was. And so I asked some people about this culture of shouting, spitting, pushing that I knew from 2010, and they said, oh yeah, people used to be like that. But that was 15 years ago. That was a different generation. Everything's changed since then. And conversely, it was fascinating that two different Chinese people I met with had this observation about traveling. One of them went to a year of university in Melbourne, Australia, and then went back 7 years later. And he said, I went back 7 years later, and it was the same. Nothing had changed. And he was so surprised that Melbourne, Australia had not completely changed in 7 years. And then I told a friend of mine, or told a guy that I met that I used to live in New York City. He said, oh, let me ask you something about New York City. He said, I went to New York City 10 years ago, and I went again last year, and it's almost the same. What's wrong with New York? Why is it almost the same? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it hasn't changed in 10 years. I mean, one or two buildings are different, but almost everything's the same. I said, I think you're living in one of the only places on Earth that radically changes in 10 years. Most places on Earth are not like that. He said, oh, right. Okay, you're right. I take that for granted. Because he lives in Shenzhen, where the Shenzhen of 10 years ago is unrecognizable from the Shenzhen of today. And so what's really surprised me is that the culture has changed that much too. That yes, 15 years ago, people were rude and spitting, and now they're not. And 10 years ago, the government was pouring lots of money into factories that were emitting lots of smoke. Now they're not. Now they're the largest supporter of green technologies on Earth. And if you go into a city like Shanghai, it's silent because all of the cars are electric and the air is clean because no matter what you heard 10 years ago, it's moot now. Anything you heard about China that's a few years old is moot. It changes that fast. So the China of today, of 2025, the cities of China. I haven't been to the countryside yet. Who knows? It might be a cesspool. But the cities of China right now in 2025 are pristine, so pleasant, so easy. I think they're just one of the prettiest, most pleasant, highest quality of life places on Earth right now.
Where do you think you would live if you got your residency?
Shanghai. I actually had to decide that in advance because I'm doing it through incorporating a company. So you have to, like a U.S. state, you have to choose which state you're going to incorporate in first, and then that gives you the right to become a resident of that state. So I just chose Shanghai. I love Shenzhen. I love Chengdu, but I chose Shanghai, which I also love.
Are you also learning to write Mandarin, or are you?
Yes.
Okay.
You should see me. I'm getting good. I'm not just handwriting it, I'm typing it. I'm learning to type like a Chinese, which is it's something I've wanted for 20 years, and I'm really.
Is it easier to type on a like a little keyboard, like that identifies what you're going to do, kind of thing? Like I've seen them type on their little, on their what's called their phone. The keyboard kind of like changes as you're typing, basically.
Yeah, you have to know the pinyin romanization of things in order to type on an A to Z keyboard. So, like if I say 我是你的朋友, I have to know that is WOSHINIDE, and then by typing WO, up pops all of the Chinese characters that are spelled with the romanization WO, and I have to pick the one, because there's way more than one. I have to pick the one that represents what I want, which might be numbers 1 through 9. So if I type like 我, okay, number 1, sure. Number 6, 你的, that's number 4 or 5. 朋友, that's number 7, number 2. And so that's how you type. It's like the combination of letters and numbers to select the right Chinese character. It's fascinating.
I did an ask of one of the AIs, maybe Perplexity. I asked it, like, if you're a native speaker in both languages, a native typer in both languages, which one can you type faster, English or Chinese or Mandarin? And it did say that English is more efficient. In other words, you can pump out words more quickly than on the same size, keyboard. So I don't know if that's true, but you'll find out. You're not a good example because you're not fluent yet.
Yeah. I will always be slower.
Right.
Yeah, but it's learning to read is so important now because when you go to China, everything is done on apps now. So many restaurants you'll walk in and there is no person to take your order. You have to do the app.
Right.
So speaking is almost less useful than reading and writing.
Well, you've been very useful. Maybe not true. Maybe not true, but useful.
Oh man,
that is the name of your Derek's book, Derek Sivers' book, Useful, Not True. It's a very short book. Like all his books are packed with wisdom, kind of like you take a bunch of grapes and you squeeze them and you just get the juice and that's it. And you don't put any fluff whatsoever in your book, zero.
No,
so it's very densely packed. Yeah, it's all removed, and that takes a lot of work. Somebody who, as a writer myself, that has not perfected that at all. The art of
I'm glad you have it. I love your style. Your style is so loose and conversational. At least from what I've read of your stuff so far, it feels like everything is like Francis when loosened up by a beer or something. It's like you're very honest, unfiltered, and that's what's wonderful about your writing. So please don't change that. Don't write like me.
Okay. All right, Derek. Well, it's been a pleasure to remind people how to find your books. And by the way, one real quick tip about your books that I really enjoyed is the fact that when you buy it from your website, not only are you supporting you, but you can also get multiple copies for just a tiny bit more. So like, and I'm putting numbers here, like $27 for one book, $30 for two books. I mean, it's not those numbers, but it's basically so incremental to get 4 or 5 books, and that's why I ordered 3 books. I was like, you know what? Hey, I can gift these. I already gifted one, and they're also so nice. I brought this to Vietnam with me from California. I would, as a lightweight backpacker, I would never carry books, but this, because it's thin, I can actually carry. It's lighter than my Kindle.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, I
made it so your website, Derek.
Go to sive.rs.
I'll put that down.
Me. I don't really do social media. I just don't like it. So I'm entirely on my website. Go there, email me, say hello. I would love to meet any fans of Francis like I am.
Okay. Thank you again, Derek. Thank you for tuning in to the WanderLearn show. Make sure that you grab this book. It's a fascinating short book, great book, useful, not true. You'll find a link in the description. Derek sells them at a great price, especially when you buy multiple copies. It's a way to give it to all your friends. Again, encourage you to go down the links below. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn. And that ends this episode of the WanderLearn podcast, where we explore travel, technology, and transformation. If you'd like to see the show notes with links to what we've talked about, go to wanderlearn.com and click on this episode. If you'd like to connect with me, just remember Tapon. That's my first initial and my last name. Tapon is always my social media username. My website is ftapon.com. Do you want to leave me an anonymous voicemail where you can make a comment or ask a question? Then go to speakpipe.com/ftapon. Furthermore, if you'd like to get rewarded for supporting my projects, then go to patreon.com/ftapon. That's where you can pick up some remarkable rewards for as little as $2 a month. Now, 5 quick favors. Number 1, subscribe to the WanderLearn podcast. 2, download it. 3, share it. 4, review it. And 5, sign up for my newsletter at wanderlearn.com. Our theme music was composed by Eric Stratman. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.